It's Tuesday afternoon at 4 p.m. in Switzerland, and it's Space Café WebTalk time. Our Space Café WebTalk, 33 minutes with Ole Dokka, will begin soon. Thank you for joining us for this very informative and definitely very inspiring talk today about how a commercial spaceport unlocks new opportunities for Norway and for Europe. As always, we appreciate your participation and your ongoing feedback. I'm Torsten Kriening, your host today and publisher of SpaceWatch.Global, and we are a Switzerland-based online platform for information in and about space and new space activities in a geopolitical context. I know many of you are already familiar with our website, our bi-weekly and daily newsletters, and our Space Café podcast. Our latest episode, number 15, was released this morning on all major platforms, featuring UNOSA director Simonetta Di Pippo. It's another super cool podcast, so trust me and listen to it. We also opened our fan shop online for you, where you can support us actively and become a space watcher. Edition 1 has cool mugs, masks, awesome t-shirts, brand new reflecting backpacks, and more cool items for you, your friends, and the ones you love. Your support is needed to keep our independent journalism alive. I can't repeat it enough. We need your support for that, what we do for you. If you missed any of our previous web talks, we have an archive available on our website in the event section and on YouTube. We host our Space Café Web Talk live on a weekly basis, and it's already the 33rd edition today. I hope you mark Tuesdays at the same time in your calendars. Today, I feel very honored and happy to have Ole Dokka in my show. So welcome, Ole.
Thanks a lot.
Ole Dokka is a multidisciplinary leader, an innovator and strategist working in the intersection of innovation, design and technology since the beginning of the internet economy in 1995. He has held several innovation and strategic leadership positions in some of Norway's largest corporations over the last 20 years. From 2015, he has focused on the global space industry as an enabler for new and valuable opportunities for many. Now he spends most of his time developing a new innovation center in connection with a new spaceport in Andoya. Do I pronounce Andoya right?
It's close. It's called Andøya. So you have an sound.
Okay, I skipped it next time. That's fair. And he also develops new concepts for space education and further developments of the Spaceport Norway, the biggest meeting arena for space businesses in the Nordics. With that, I'm proud to welcome you, Ole, again in my show. Let's start with the show. Please tell us what's going on in the north right now. I mean, we hear a lot about your new spaceports in the Nordics, and I say it in the plural because it's not just the one with the A. Or can you please give us an update on that?
I can try. I mean, this has been processes going on for quite some time. That several initiatives, both from Sweden and Norway, primarily competing on kind of getting there first. But to be quite honest, my work is so intense, focused on Andoya, that I try to focus on that. And I can tell you a lot more about the development on Andoya, but not so much on the latest on the Swedish side, for instance. But I think it's fair to say that this competition will happen. And depending on who will be first, that will be an advantage for sure. But I expect to see maybe 3 or 4 of these projects actually going live within 5 to 10 years. Not only in the Nordics, but in Europe. And if the market is big enough for that, that's another matter. I can't really, I don't know yet. Let's hope it is.
Okay. Would you like to give us a bit more an update on the Norwegian side? So what is the current schedule for the spaceport, and how do you think that schedule will be achieved? So where are we on that?
I think it was a major milestone past this May this year when the government actually went in with the first significant investment and communicated that decision. So that was really the big start for Andoya. And at the same time, they have been preparing for this for years. So the project is has a lot of maturity in some departments, and as a part of that maturity, they also have discovered a few things that they need to refine and improve. So I think they had the time to do that. And this governmental investment was fantastic. It kind of kicked everything off. So now we can start to think about more specific dates. And at the same time, you know, this is space, so it's always hard. But let me put it this way. Right now, they are in the concept choice phase. So they're picking technical concepts right now. Concepts for the pad, concepts for the infrastructure, a lot of, you know, the underlying technology that they need. So a lot of decisions these days. And depending on what kind of concept they actually go for, they will have a fairly short route to the first development machines coming on the ground. So from that moment, it might be 2020, but I really believe it will be very early 2021. From that moment, we're looking at maybe 1 year of really hectic building activity before they actually can plan with the first launch. So in that perspective, the first launch will happen maybe Q1 2022.
What is given the current situation where we are 1.5 years from now, it is quite fast. I mean, there are a number of small launchers, and we reported about it on SpaceWatch.Global, that are signing up with your spaceport already, which are on their way or release at least their letter of intent or for that. So it seems that also customers are there, or potential customers are there.
I need to be very clear about that. I'm not really representing the Andøya Space Orbital, which is now the official name. I work with, you know, concepts and projects that is connected to that. But so whenever I say something about schedule or, you know, business partners or clients or customers, it's more or less what you have already reported. So the cool thing is that, you know, the rocket factory from Augsburg has actually been official about this. And said that the first launch will be from Andoya. But as far as I know, this is the only company that has went out in the public and said, we have chosen Andoya as our, you know, spaceport. But I know, of course, that there's a lot of dialogue with different companies. And it's a very exciting phase because I'm not sure what the latest number is, but we read about maybe 90 to 100 new launch companies under development. And obviously, they will not, you know, be successful, all of them. But this is a brand new market. It's new space, really. So it's very cool.
Let's switch gears and let's see politics, the regulations for next week, literally. Now, the topic is about the opportunities that come with the new spaceport. How do you harvest on those opportunities that comes with this kind of development? So what is on your plate?
Well, I can start with the beginning, because having a commercial facility for launching satellites, small satellites, which is up to approximately 1,000 kilos on Norwegian ground, is a major paradigm shift. I mean, we have never had that before. We have space activities on Andoya since the 60s. So for since 62 actually. So this is not new, but having this as a kind of a business ecosystem starting to form connected to this is hugely interesting. And as a part of that kind of exploration, we developed a pre-study this spring. When the whole world was on lockdown, I was actually busy, you know, meeting people on video and writing and trying to figure out how to actually approach this in the best possible way. And this pre-study was ready in summer. And then we had a formal decision that, yes, we will go ahead and develop this project. This project is called Newspace North, and it's really, the ambition is to establish a new form of innovation center in very close connection with the core operations going on at the spaceport. So when you talked about harvest, right? And what I tell the politician is that these things will not happen by themselves. I mean, the rocket companies, the satellite companies, the payload specialists, the logistic companies that will come to Andoya to actually, launch something, they will be very much focused on their core business. So anything we can develop from this or explore, the opportunities from, we have to facilitate ourselves. So this is kind of the basic idea that in order to actually be able to harvest, we need to establish infrastructure. We need to establish the right meeting points, the right meeting arenas. We need to attract the right talent, the right partners. And hopefully we will see a new, brand new actually, ecosystem forming around the spaceport, but also in connection with the innovation center. So I also need to say that this is still early days. I mean, we are also in the kind of a conceptual phase, but it's very, very exciting work.
Can you tell us a bit more how that can look like then? So
yes, so there's there's a lot of different innovation centers in the world, and a lot of them have a few kind of, well, they have a lot of common building blocks. They maybe have an accelerator, they might have an incubator. They have different kind of teams working on different kind of projects, but we have so far at least chosen to focus on the big innovation challenges that other industrial sectors actually struggle with, and explore if space technology, space infrastructure, and also services can play a pivotal role in solving those challenges. So the reason for me mentioning these innovation challenges is that I have a background from, among other things, 10 years in the oil and gas industry, where I worked with open innovation, or as head of open innovation for a number of years. And I know that these big innovation challenges exist. And it's very, very hard work. And at the same time, it's a huge opportunity if you actually are able to be successful solving them. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I think we will try to do is to attract large companies like that, from the oil and gas, from energy, from fishery, from, there could be any sector. And together with them, explore how can space technology and infrastructure play a larger role in their business? How can these things that we can provide through the networks, through the relations we are establishing, play a bigger role in enabling faster and better innovation? So that's one of the pillars we try to build, and the pre-study is actually a lot about that. It's about testing that as an approach. Do people believe in this? Are there, will they be interested for it? And I think I can say that they were interested for that kind of thinking. So to continue a little bit more, if we are able to actually get this model working, then I see possible spin-offs and spin-outs, because you have been working maybe for some researchers and some scientists, maybe a few startups with very specific technology, or an early phase concept that could be relevant for this particular innovation challenge. And then suddenly you have a kind of multidisciplinary team from very different parts of the industry, and maybe something brand new come out of it. We don't know. So that could be a spin-off that is, unexpected, as a part of this process, working on these big innovation challenges.
Okay, but let's talk to start with innovation. I mean, you need education. Let's talk about education that is needed for this development, for innovation, for as an underlying process. What are the initiatives that are in place, and what can we expect from the center, from you in the future, in the near future?
In parallel with this innovation center work, it has been established also an early phase project called Space Education 2.0. And I'm actually leading that as well. And that is a different kind of owner of that project. But the starting point is the same. We have this huge milestone that we will have a commercial space activity on Andoya, which is not only relevant and valuable for Andoya or the north of Norway. It's actually valuable for the whole Europe, I think. So I mean, this might be the first that is operational, and then it will be interesting for a lot of different companies. So, and it's also very different for the education sector, of course. To give a little bit background on Andoya, there has been educational activities for 20 years. 20 years with different type of programs like fly a rocket, fly a satellite, build things. They have teachers that they actually teach. They have young, both children and youth, they have been working on or with, and they also have been doing something with the higher educational sector, the universities. But this specific project that we call Space Education 2.0 is more or less focused only on the universities. And to explore together with them, when we get this capability here, the spaceport, the Andoya Space Orbital, what can we now do? How can we, build and piggyback on those things and those capabilities, and give students in and outside of Norway an abilities to actually fly to orbit and to explore this, really the full value chain of programs that could end up in something that is actually in orbit and that you can actually use for something. And this will be very exciting to work with, yes.
But let me do the reality check on that. I mean, we have seen Norwegian space assets already in space. So we reported about the postdocs that send their tumors in space or to the ISS for tests and so on. So, and when you have a student in higher education today and they study space or technology or whatever it is, across Europe, as you mentioned, I mean, they find their way or in the industry, or either they go to the US or for doing really something, or going to south of France or in Germany to the clusters that we have. Fair enough, none of them in Europe or in mainland Europe has a spaceport already. So that is of course the big difference. But to come back to the education, what will you make different than what is there already?
I think the primary, the primary position that we can actually build or develop is that access to space gets a lot more easy. As you say, they are like Bruce Lee. They be like water, he said, right? So they are, just moving around, finding the opportunities, and I think it's safe to say for most of them, it's a lot of hard work to actually get the project to orbit. And to find the money, and to, they have to do a lot by themselves. So I think that this access to space as a starting point, that this is something that now will get in the close proximity for a lot of universities, not only Norwegian, but also, every European university. And also if you do this correctly with, new industrial partnerships and that kind of thing, it will be easier and it will be cheaper to actually successfully deploy a student project into orbit. And I'm not talking only about CubeSats or the smaller satellites. We can also talk about rockets. Actually, we can be ambitious, but of course this is early. But that's something we actually are exploring to see how can we actually create, build on what we have been doing for quite some number of years, and maybe together with a partner like ESA. Create a really substantial launching program that will be super interesting to see. But to back to your question, access to space will be a lot closer. And I think that is the starting point. I see now there's some questions here. Sorry about that.
No, absolutely. No, we can pick up on the questions, and please, or everybody in the audience, feel encouraged to ask what you want to know from Ole. So let's take the first one from Mr. Mosti. Once the Andoya's facility is up and running, what is the expected launch frequency? Or do you know something about that? What they're planning?
I can reply based on the regulatory approvals, because they have applied for up to 30 launches a year, and that's also, I think, the max capacity. So I up to 30. So let's say between 24 and 30 launches a year on full capacity, and that will probably take 3 to 5 years to get there. I'm not sure, but that's substantial. That's every second week.
That is substantial. So yes. The next one from Jay Warmer. How is Andoya Spaceport expecting to become competitive compared to the other emerging European spaceports?
Well, as I said earlier, I'm not really representing the spaceport on Andoya, but I think they have a very healthy business perspective on this. So obviously there will be competition, and how do you compete? Well, you compete on quality, you compete on price. So suddenly there will be a functioning market, and I think also Andøya has a lot of good things going for them, because there's actually an airport on Andøya. And there's a really good harbor. So the logistics part for kind of the large operations will be fairly easy to do, and it's also obviously. Some of the geographical advantages just for the launch part, which is hard to compete with. Everything from safe zone and the polar orbit placement. But I think having an airport, having all this kind of infrastructure actually in place to be able to greet these big companies or these big objects coming to Andøya, that will be a big advantage. Hopefully, they will also do a lot of smart things when it comes to how they deal with fuel and all the test and integration process, and maybe even this innovation center can be an attraction point for the clients. We don't know. That's a few years from, but I expect them to be business-wise smart.
But just help me, or because I haven't been up so far in the north so far. How big is Andoya in terms of population? Or
it's very small. It's very small. It's a tiny community, and obviously because it used to be a military base, and then the military base was actually shut down, and the community has been kind of struggling after that a little bit. So the space activities on Andoya has been very important. And in my kind of when I'm there, because I'm there maybe once a month, meeting my closest stakeholders in the various projects, I'm always walking around and thinking, wow, this is going to change dramatically the next 5 years. Because even if, let's say we have 20 to 24 launches a year, there will be hundreds of people coming into Andoya every month, doing things, working on things, and they will probably attract, an own value chain of companies. So it will be very, very interesting to see how this develops the next 5 years. It's a very small place. They will notice it, to put it that way.
Okay.
And they look forward to it.
That's good to hear. So let's take the next questions from our audience, and thanks for rolling them in. From Cecilia Haskins, what kind of funding sources will assist the educational access to space, given the cost of launches?
Well, that's really something we are working on to explore, how these financial mechanisms should be in place, but and how they should work. But I would like to say something about it, because one of the things we are looking into now is that if we create this new program, and we need good partnerships with universities, we need also to attract some industrial players. And we also need the government on board. So there's a lot of stakeholders there, but we also need to be able to actually supply some kind of base financing. So this space education program, if the Andøya Space Education will be actually facilitating this, they will also be a financial source. And obviously, we have doing some very preliminary talks with the rocket companies, and based on a very few talks with them, they say, yeah, sure, we are interested in supporting students. So maybe there's some room for getting the prices down to a nice level, or at least a cost level, and then find the right mechanisms to actually finance it, because that will be a big part of the work.
Absolutely. So the next one from Hamad, or I think you answered earlier, or the capacity or the weight capacity. I think you mentioned 1 ton or 1,000 kilogram.
1,000 kilos, yes.
Okay. So, and also, is it going to launch in low Earth orbit only, or in higher orbits as well?
Well, this is primarily, solar synchronous orbit and low Earth and polar orbit, which is mostly low Earth orbit. So yes, yeah. LEO is the main orbit.
Yeah. Okay. So please, if you have further questions, please send them over to us. We are here for a few more minutes, but in the meantime, let me ask you another one. It's more on a broader level. How optimistic can we be about the future of a sustainable private space sector in Norway, in Europe, and globally? I mean, taking in all these challenges and changes that we happen over the last year, and in terms of space, can we say yesterday? after a week of counting. So,
well, I'm not the space guy. I'm an industry, come from a different industry. I worked a lot with technology companies, etc. And the reason for me to actually going in this direction is that I saw this under-communicated potential, and I still see that. So obviously, I, as a person or as an individual, I'm optimistic because I see this development just progressing. You can see the number of launches of each year is actually increasing pretty, dramatically, and the people are discovering new uses of satellite data or space technology almost every month. So let's hope that continues. And also, I think the space industry and the private side of the space industry has a lot of potential also to do a more important work connected to the sustainable development goals. To really, to put it a different way, I don't think it's possible to reach those 17 goals without investing more in use in space infrastructure. So all together, I think there's a lot of things we can be optimistic about. At the same time, I'm not naive. This is hard work, and creating these good big business cases is what we need to do. And when we have success and actually can showcase how this turned something around or created some kind of maybe even unexpected effect on an existing business, we need to tell that story. And I think if we are, as a community, able to do that, we will see growth. And take a look at all the things that's going on in Europe. There is growth year by year in this sector, and hopefully that will continue.
So then, let me ask the final question. If we don't get any further questions from our audience, so I'm taking the opportunity. There's one. Or what can you put more about the Spaceport North Innovation Center? I think you covered it briefly. So Hamad, then if Ole, if there's nothing you want to add, then I can refer Hamad to the recording later on. Have you reached agreements with international rocket manufacturers? Yes, we reported about that. Thanks for this question, but it's also been answered. So, Ole, my last question. So, where we will see Ole in 3 years from now?
That's actually not easy to answer. I hope I will have some kind of role in this innovation center still, because this will take some time to develop. But it's and obviously I would like to be a part of the new space ecosystem in Europe. And I think I need to say also that I don't see this as a very Norwegian thing. I think space, by its heart as a default state, is international. So I really hope to see that Europe are coming more together and actually are able to form new partnerships and create cool things together. That is something cool things that we actually need more of. So I hope to be a part of that somehow.
Cool. Looking forward to that. Thank you, Ole, for being my guest. So I think we have to come to an end. As the 33 minutes are almost over. So I would like to give some more announcements. So, but of course, be sure we will follow up with our developments are in the north in our future Space Café WebTalks and in our magazine. So some special announcement, and I'm super excited and proud to say that. Then on Thursday, this Thursday, we will kick off our new Space Café Black Ops by Ralph Thiele series. This is the first edition, will focus on LEO-MEO military applications and development. And just as announcement and the heads up, we will use Livestorm again for the same reason as we have used it last week. And after the first super intense and successful Space Café Moribas Vox Populi, we plan the next one for the 3rd of December, and the topic is determining normal behaviors in developing norms of behavior in space, from my mind to hive mind. And this will be very big. Again, then our next Space Cafés will be next week on the 17th. I will talk with the wonderful Mari Eltholm, also from Norway, about Norway's space ambitions, more in broader terms, from oil to orbit. This time more on regulatory and the industry policy focus. On the 24th of this month, I have the pleasure to talk with Professor Stephen Freeland in Sydney, more about Australia's space ambitions and the legal frameworks that rules it. And this event will be then at 1 p.m. Central European time to help him a bit on the timing. On 1st of December, I will talk with Claudia Kessler about more women to space for the future of Earth. That's a very interesting one, I can assure you. All events are online on Eventbrite as usual. As always, we would like to hear your feedback, so please check in with us on Twitter, on Facebook or LinkedIn. Don't forget to sign up to our daily or our bi-weekly newsletters, and if you like to treat yourself with something special, become a Space Watcher today. Your support will help us to continue our independent journalism for the news and these kind of web talks. Take your credit card and visit our fan shop at shop.spacewatch.global. I know that I repeat myself, but we need your support to continue our work. Our Space Cafés are also up for sponsorship as well. Thank you very much for your interest today, and thank you, Ole, for this exciting talk and being my guest. Thank you to my entire team behind the scenes for doing this great job week by week again, and I hope you all will stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you for joining us, and I hope to see you next week, or I hope to see you also Thursday already. In the meantime, visit our website and follow us on social media. Don't forget, become a Space Watcher. Thank you very much. Ole, thank you.
Thank you.
Great one. Bye-bye.
Bye.